From the greatest broadcasting online studio of all time, welcome to Starcastic Remarks, and alongside Chris, the greatest number 3 brother born in the entire world. My name is Ryan Chambers. We are the official Dallas Stars podcast of THPN. Thank you to everybody who is joining us here this evening. If you're live, there's even more of you who are listening afterwards. If you're here for the first time, please make sure you click like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell on YouTube so you never miss an episode, and leave us a 5-star review. If you like Chris's cold takes and my most amazing predictions for the season to come. Chris, how is it going this evening? How are you feeling?
I like the first part of my intro, but not the second. But I'm still happy. It's Hockey Eve, and I'm ready to go.
I had to throw some fire your way first off and, kind of build you up, and then throw some shade at you to kind of bring you down a little bit, right?
Yeah, it worked. I'm humbled.
Yeah. Sarcasm at its best. I love it. Well, I have never been more excited, to be completely honest with you, Chris. There is so much that is at stake for this team, for this organization, and I'm really looking forward to the start of the season. It is literally the season eve here tonight as we record on a Wednesday night at 9:35. We have Stars hockey tomorrow. I am very excited. So we start with the Winnipeg Jets, and then I believe we turn around and play the Colorado Avalanche, if I am incorrect on that. But we're going to get to everything, and we're going to try and sum up the last, 3 or 4 months for your Dallas Stars. And we're going to talk coaching. We're going to talk what happened in the offseason, what happened last season, and then we're going to get you guys ready with some fan analysis, going through and trying to figure out who's going to score goals, who's going to be the defensive pairings. Is Jake Oettinger going to have a Vezina-level season this year, like some of us are predicting, and lots more to come. But before we get started, I do want to say thank you to our sponsor, DraftKings Sportsbook. Their promo code is right up there in the top right-hand corner. If you're watching on YouTube, it's THPN. Once again, THPN. Chris, we got a lot to discuss here, and we're just going to jump just straight into it. And I want to recap what happened last season. Last season, the Stars were 50, 26, and 6, 106 points. They finished second in the division behind the Winnipeg Jets, who did win the President's Trophy. And for a while, it looked like the Stars might actually be able to kind of track them down through the duration of the season. We saw several major injuries happen to this team. Miro Heiskanen was out for a good period of time, but that allowed players like Thomas Harley to really kind of show what they could do. And it was even extrapolated with his performance in the Four Nations. Robo was hurt at the very last game of the season, which kind of hurt his playoff performance a little bit. But I would argue, as would many other Stars fans, that he was probably the Stars' best player at the end of the playoffs. He was that was one of the few that was actually getting points. The Stars traded for Mikko Rantanen. We say goodbye to Logan Stankoven, which absolutely killed me. But that's not to say we're unhappy with Mikko Rantanen. He comes in, he starts kind of
Mikko Rantanen.
Absolutely. He starts kind of slow in the regular season. He starts to pop off a little bit, and then he does what he does to his former team, who traded him away in that same season. And nobody would have thought that Mikko Rantanen would be on the Dallas Stars facing against his former team. And we'll talk about some of the other contracts that have been signed kind of at the end of the episode here today. But Colorado, in my opinion, is looking very, very foolish, considering some of the other contracts that are being signed right now. We already saw Kaprizov at $17 million. There's other contracts there, but before we get too far off there, the feeling of the season is that it felt like a failure. And that's crazy because the Stars have now been to 3 straight conference finals in the Western Conference. And I think the biggest question of the season is, are the Stars going to be able to get over that hump? Is it Stanley Cup final or bust for this team? So that's a very broad recap, Chris. But what did you see from the team overall? And what's the answer to the question? Is that true?
Yeah, well, the feeling after that Oilers loss, it was the first time I honestly felt, oh no, we're turning into the 2010 Sharks. That's what I thought. I mean, 3 straight conference finals, obviously an amazing team. They've been a cup contender for the past 4 or 5 years, maybe even. I mean, this team is so good, and you can't just keep getting close and falling back. I mean, you've got to get over the hump, like you said. And they went so far as to fire the most successful regular season coach of the past 3 years. Pete DeBoer had the most wins of any coach over a 3-season period, and he was fired. I mean, that's what this management is trying to do. They're trying anything to get over that Western Conference final hump. So I'm glad that they're doing something to work towards overcoming it. But I mean, the coaching can only do so much. It's going to be on these players. It's going to be on new superstars like Mikko Rantanen to see what they can do, and people like Jake Oettinger, who a lot of people are calling for their early Vezina trophy winner. So, yeah, coaching will help them get over the hump, but ultimately it's going to be the players, and they've got to get the getting too close moniker off their back and get to the championship one, because it's getting scary now.
Yeah, it is starting to feel like the 2010 Sharks with Pavelski, with Logan Couture, Brent Burns, that group of players.
One of the best teams.
Joe Thornton. Mm-hmm. Agreed. 100% agree.
It's feeling that way for the Stars.
And this team has too many players in their prime, and some players who are past their prime who are not going to get any faster, or they're in fact they're going to get slower. That is going to help that. So we're going to have to wait and see what this team can do moving forward. I do want to mention that the biggest move of the offseason, Chris, and this is probably the biggest of all of them, and is the coaching change. Obviously, Glen Gulutzan comes in as the head coach after Pete DeBoer is fired. I was 100% behind this firing based off of how he finished the season, Pete DeBoer I'm talking about, and the fact that he didn't seem to have the answers to get him over the hump. And that was, I guess Jim Nill came to the same conclusion that I did. Obviously, the whole, Jake Oettinger thing, and the fact that they had just signed their franchise goalie to an 8-year contract, and it's now starting this year, that also didn't help with that whole situation. Right. And
from the outside, that's what it looks like to be the reason, like you talk about, he was the most winning coach. Right. On the inside, you realize it was that. Like, I'm not saying it wasn't the goalie situation. That was definitely part of it. And DeBoer has a track record of stabbing goalies in the back, if you know history. But it's really, I think the scheme is a big thing that this is going to come down to. Back-to-back years, the Stars get cooked by the Oilers in the conference final. And a lot of it felt like because of the man-on-man defense situation. And you play man-on-man defense against 2 of the best players in the world, and they burned you 2 years in a row. And the first change we're seeing with Gulutzan is switching to the hybrid zone defense. And it feels like that's going to help your defensemen be able to play against those higher skill players by being closer to the net and being able to protect the center of the ice a lot easier. It may help your goalie. We've talked about how the sight lines on man defense are just so unpredictable for them. And the goalies have talked a lot about how it's a lot easier around a more structured defense to see where the puck's going to be, know where to look through traffic to find the puck. So the defensive scheme, I really think that's being banked on as the biggest change that this coaching staff's going to bring that could bring them the most success.
Do you really think that that's the biggest thing? Because for me, and for a lot of other Stars fans who have said similar things to me, I think and physicality is not the right word, but maybe you can help me think of a better word. But the physical aspect of the game, I think, is going to be a bigger point of emphasis with Glen Gulutzan and the staff.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a big point as well. I think the defensive scheme is bigger. I think just the X's and O's of it is more important. But without a doubt, that was one of the other downfalls of Pete DeBoer, was that his team obviously was not, or either he wasn't allowing or his team wasn't able to step up in those physical, emotional moments. Like, I mean, the rope slash on his foot, broke his foot in the conference finals, no response. I mean, yes, it's an X's and O's game, but I mean, the NHL playoffs is the most emotional sports journey you can go on. 2 months of playoff grind. I mean, you have to be able to step up in those emotional moments. They mean so much more in hockey than they do in other sports, in my opinion. Those little game within the game moments are so important. And that's going to be a big part. And if Gulutzan can actually get these guys who we saw all of last season, they're not a particularly physical group. There's physical guys. I mean, you got Bischel, you added some with Bastian, but
Foxa,
your top guys
don't
are
leave
the
out
guys
Foxa.
Foxa as well. Yeah, sorry, head of the table.
Chief.
But your top guys are the guys who lead that. I mean, if you want to compare it to who everyone's comparing to with the Panthers, the emotional leader of that team is Matthew Tkachuk, who also happens to be their best player. I mean, that's how you, as a group, get more physical, is your leader does it. So we're going to have to see it from guys like Mikko Rantanen, Roope Hintz, guys who don't necessarily, that's not part of their game. The physical part of the game isn't part of it. They're going to have to make that part of it. Do what goalie said, 1% more physical. You don't have to be a big brute all of a sudden, but you got to respond in those moments when it really counts. So that'll be a really interesting thing to keep track of all season long, outside of the scoreboard and who's winning. What happens in those emotional moments when you need to step up for your teammate? That'll be really fun to watch long term.
I think this team actually does have some guys that can do that. And I know it doesn't look like it when we're losing Mason Marchment, who was probably one of our biggest physical guys. But like you said, Bischel is still here. And a lot of people forget that we've got guys who are absolutely like tree trunks with their thighs.
They're big.
They're enormous. Like Mikko Rantanen,
Not the thighs,
as good
bro.
as ever. As good as he is with his skill and everything like that, he can destroy a human being. He's huge. He's
right. But when you think of his game, that's not the thing you think of.
But
right?
he can.
But he can. And that's what goalie's job is going to be, is to draw that out, pull that out, and show that on the ice.
Well, and to throw some things that I saw in the preseason into here, Robo just, punching somebody in the face. I was like, wait, that was Robertson that did? Yes, right. More of that. Yes. It's controlled physicality, and it's picking the right moment at the right time. He didn't go over it, and that's what Florida does really well. And I'm not saying Florida does everything right, but they have won the last 2 cups.
Well, even on the Robo Punch, I mean, we did get the extra minor. We went on the kill for that. So, but that's a time where you have to do it. You're a superstar on the Dallas Stars. You just got sucker punched. You can't just take it. You got to give it right back and make sure they know what's going to come if they do that. That's the game within the game moments where it might actually cost you a little bit in the game. But in the long run, that's important. Like in the Edmonton series. In the long run, it was important for someone to pay for what happened to Rope's foot. And it never happened. And I think that was an emotional swing the Stars could have had that they never took. That needs to be taken, because hockey's an emotional game.
Well, it wasn't even that, Chris. The thing that I was frustrated about, and you talked about, I think it was Bouchard. It was after we knew Rope's foot was broken, and Bouchard just took a whack at his foot.
The second one, that was worse.
The second one was 100%. Worse. And when there was no response from that, that's what really hacked me off. Yep, and I understand 100%. I understand playing disciplined, but there is a certain point when the other team on the other side has to know that you're not just going to sit there and take their crap. Yep. And there is a line. There is a line there that the Tampa Bay Lightning don't know where it is right now. At least. So I'm inferring things that happened in the preseason. But the Dallas has to find that line, and Glen Gulutzan saw where that line was with the Edmonton Oilers last year. The only time it didn't work was in the Stanley Cup final against the Florida Panthers, who were able to find that line better than the Oilers were. So that's going to be another thing. The only other word that I want to throw in with this Gulutzan talk is collaboration. This is going to be a lot more collaborative coaching staff than what we saw last year. And that's not because Pete DeBoer is like a tyrant or anything like that when it comes to his coaching style, but he
may be, but he's
has
right
that.
a lot.
But he was, yeah, exactly. He had that pedigree. He has that record, and he knows what he's talking about. So
Yeah, he
it
had
was a lot
results.
of his way or the highway, which
Yep.
most of the time it was just his way, and that's fine. And it worked for 3 years. But the thing it didn't work was getting over the hump in the playoffs and to get into the Stanley Cup final.
Yep.
So that it's going to be really interesting to see now that Neil Graham, the former Texas Stars head coach, is now an assistant and basically running the power play and the forwards for the Dallas Stars. That's going to be interesting to see where that goes. And Glen Gulutzan is also being collaborative with Pete DeBoer's system. He said he's gonna come in and he's not going to make a ton of changes and only envelop his strategy only. Because obviously what was working for the Stars was working at certain points. There was just some tweaks that needs to be made. And that's the collaborative part of Glen Gulutzan that he's going to be bringing into this. So, and then the other thing that's going to be interesting is the collaboration between him and Jeff Reese, the goaltending coach. And that has been another big talking point about how are the Stars going to give games to both of these guys with DeSmith and Otter. Like, what's going to be, is it going to be 55-30? Is it going to be like 50-32? Or is Otter going to play 60 to 65 games? You know, what is going to be the split this year? So I think that's a big word to kind of throw in there as collaboration with this coaching staff.
Yep. And we'll see if that collaboration also adds some flexibility. I mean, because that's part of what happened in the Edmonton series too. It's going to have to, right? So in Edmonton, I mean, McDavid and Draisaitl were rolling over the man-on-man defense, and there wasn't a change in any of the games. I mean, it obviously wasn't working. The Oilers picked their number. They knew what was happening. Even, hey, go back to the Avalanche series. I mean, they had those pick plays running like clockwork. It was at will. The Avs were setting picks and getting free of their defenders. And there was no response really to that. It was like, hey guys, you got to dodge the pick. That was the response. And that's what you're saying in that my way or the highway kind of mentality. So we'll see if the Stars are willing to be flexible. And there's a flip side to that coin too. I mean, the best hockey is to make the other team play your brand of hockey. 100% true. But you got to be willing to be flexible when you need to in those situations. So there's a balancing act there as well, which is why coaches get paid a lot more than we do.
Yeah, we do this for free. Okay. Let's take a hard right turn and let's talk about the forwards here, because it has gotten a lot more interesting in the last week. We now have Jamie Benn on LTIR. Oscar Beck is also on not LTIR, but IR and it seems like he's going to be out not as long as Jamie Benn will, obviously. But with those spots being opened up, it looks like Justin Ritzkovian has now officially made the team. He will be on the opening night roster. He was not on the starting roster from a couple days ago. Harrison Scott was, but
not even talk about that. Honestly, yeah. That was crazy.
Yes, that was a pure
gymnastics.
Yes, and that's why Mark Janko gets paid the big bucks there. But the biggest story here is that Justin Ritzkovian gets onto the Dallas Stars. That's going to be a lot of good youth that I think will help add to that team that has some older guys on it. He's only 24. And then the other newcomer to the team that I don't think anybody saw coming, including myself, Adam Ernie. 30-year-old veteran guy who can kind of play up and down the lineup, a very utility type player, kind of like a Delandria or a Dodonov type player that you can kind of plug and play anywhere. Yeah, he gets his contract off of a PTO with the Dallas Stars. That will be interesting to see how he works into the lineup. And there's a lot of question marks with this team in terms of forwards, because like we say, we lost 60 goals from the roster from players who have now left, with Dodonov, with Marchment, and sort of kind of with Granlund. Granlund was only on the team from about a month before the trade deadline, but he still scored a decent amount of goals for the Dallas Stars at that time. That's going to be a lot of points and a lot of goals that players like Jason Robertson, Mikko Rantanen, Maverick Bork, to a certain extent, is going to really have to kind of fill that hole tremendously. Chris, what do you see with the offense here? what are you looking forward to the most?
Well, first on Ritzkovian, I think that's a really interesting one. He's got a really high ceiling. He's the AHL Rookie of the Year last year. He's an older prospect. He's already 24, so it's not like an 18-year-old Wyatt Johnston jumping in on the opening night roster. This guy's played hockey. He's seen a thing or two. He knows what's going on, and crazy high skill last year for the Texas Stars. He started out as kind of a middle six forward, and by the end of the season, he was the top line center on a Western Conference Final AHL team. So he has got some crazy high skill. It'll be really interesting to see if he can translate that to the NHL. He had a 5-game cup of coffee stint last season, and it didn't quite go his way under Pete DeBoer. So it'll be really interesting to see if he can unlock some more of that offense under Gulutzan, especially when, being on the starting night roster. That's just awesome for him. He's going to love that. See if he can harness that energy. You're right. There's a good bit of lost goals, but two guys we didn't have for pretty much the whole regular season last year, Tyler Seguin, Mikko Rantanen. That's going to find you a lot of those goals. And Mikko Rantanen is really going to be the key here. We haven't had a superstar. We talked about this all during the trade deadline. We haven't had a true bona fide superstar in Dallas probably since Modano. And we have one now. This is a top 10 player, top 10 scorer. This team is going to rely on Mikko Rantanen to get to 100 points to be a contender for President's Trophy, conference champion, on division champion, all that stuff. If Mikko Rantanen is past 100 points, that's where the Stars are going to be in the regular season. But more important than that, obviously, is the playoff prowess. And his ability to consistently produce in the playoffs it trumps whatever is going to happen in the regular season, because it's almost a lock for the Stars to be a playoff team. And we saw last year with the Panthers, it doesn't really matter where you are when you get in. As long as you get in and you have the right makeup, you can win the cup back-to-back years even. So if they want to get those regular season numbers, I think it comes from Mikko and Seguin, but who really cares about the regular season numbers? Let's build the team for playoffs.
And I think that's where we're just going to keep coming back to. We don't really care right now, I guess, to a certain extent, because of course we want to see the Stars do well in the regular season, but we know there's a lot of changes. We know there's a new coach, and there are going to be some philosophy changes, I guess is the right word you could say. So, and there are going to be some new combos that we're going to see as well, with kind of some new third guys on these lines. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Dallas Stars are going to be able to put forward in terms of the forwards. If you had to pick like one forward, Chris, that you think is going to surprise everyone, whether that's positive or negative, maybe even, who do you think that would be?
Yeah, well, Maverick Bork is the guy that needs to take the biggest step in this forward group. If Maverick Bork can step up and really play like a top 6 forward, no matter where he's playing, we'll talk about the line combos that we were seeing in a minute, I'm sure. But if he plays like a true top 6 forward and is able to score more, that's what he was missing last season. He couldn't find the score sheet consistently enough to justify him being in the lineup over a more checking, more PK guy where he was playing. So he's got to score to force his way in the lineup, and he's got to be a big part of the offense. If he stays with Wyatt Johnston where he is right now, if those two can be a pair, I think that gives you so much more flexibility in how you build your lineup rather than having to just stack the top. So Maverick Bork is a guy that should surprise us.
Can you imagine a line of Maverick Bork, Wyatt Johnston, and Justin Ritzkovian? I would love to see that. I would love to see what that would look like. And I'm sure they've thrown that idea out there now, especially with Ben out, because it looked like Ben was going to be on that third line still. But that does intrigue me quite a bit with that trio in particular.
Funny note on that, Justin Ritzkovian would be the oldest player on that line.
That's crazy. Well, he was, I think he was undrafted, right? Out of college?
Yep. He was free agent out of college, signed with the Texas Stars late last season. So he fully graduated college. He's 24.
And I think he has got one of the greatest last names of all time, to be honest with you, too. This is absolutely awesome. Okay.
Can't wait to hear ESPN trying to pronounce that one.
Yeah. Okay. What are you predicting that these lines are going to look like? Because there are, I think with DeBoer, it was more about the trios. And it feels like, based off of what I've seen from Glen Gulutzan in the past, and from what I'm hearing from him in his press conferences when he's talking to media, it sounds like he's more worried about duos, and then he's throwing a complementary player on those duos.
Yep. And
How do you feel like it is?
I don't love it. That's definitely what he's doing right now. So the last lineup we got from practice today, being Wednesday, night before first game, the top line is Roope Hintz, Mikko Rantanen, Sam Steele. And then you have Matt Duchene, Tyler Seguin with Colin Blackwell.
That's different.
Wyatt Johnston, Maverick Bork, Jason Robertson, and then Radek Faksa, Bastian, Ritzkovian. So it is definitely 100% duos and then energy guy is what this is. He's going all in on that kind of mindset, at least it looks like off the bat. And we'll see what happens from there. I also think this is widely changeable. So if they're having trouble scoring, I think you very quickly see Robertson swap places with Steele on the top line, and then Wyatt swap places with Blackwell on the second line, and then you just top load and keep rolling those guys to try and get back in a game or something.
Go nuclear.
I don't think this is going to last long term. I think they're going to want to do the supernova line, what we're calling it, with Robertson, Hintz, and Rantanen. And then I think you want Johnston playing on that second line. But it's interesting. If it works, it means you have three amazing scoring lines. I mean, that Johnston line could be a first. I mean, it's a much more even spread between those top three. But I don't know. I think it sounds good to spread out the offense like that, but in practicality, it generally works best when your best players are playing with the best players.
If we're calling the top line the supernova line, are we going to talk about the fourth line being a white dwarf line?
Maybe the black hole line. They suck up all the offense.
Okay, yeah, that's better. I was trying to keep it to stars because obviously supernova is a star, white dwarf is a
space.
star.
That's close enough.
Yeah, close enough. I like the black hole one though. That's funny. I figured you would like that with Radek Faksa being back and everything. I want to throw this in here too, that I think Radek Faksa is going to be a bigger deal for this team than we think he is. And I have nothing to back that up with. I think that it's just a gut feeling.
Yeah,
I know that seems stupid, but there have been some gut feelings that I have had in the last couple of months, and I've been right on them. I was right about them firing the coach. I was right about it feeling like there were a crud ton more injuries going on lately. This is just another one of those gut feelings. It's that same feeling in the pit of my stomach, and not in a bad way, but it just feels like he is going to be more key to this forward group than I think people are giving him credit for.
Well, I'll ignore your tea leaves, but it is a true checking line now. So the Stars went last season, it literally got rid of Faksa and added more guys. They added Sam Steele as your fourth line center, who has more offensive potential. You wanted to be able to score with all four lines. That was what Pete DeBoer wanted. He wants to play all four lines. He wants every single one to have the chance to score. And when Oscar Beck comes back and you have Beck, Fox, Sebastian, there's no goals on that line, and it's a wall of meat, and they're all over 6'2". That is a true checking line. They're all great defensively. I mean, top 10% defensive forwards in the league, and they're all bottom 10% offensively. Literally suck offense away from whoever is on the ice. So it'll be interesting to see how it's deployed. I mean, if you remember a few years back with the FCC line, that line would start games. They would start overtimes sometimes with Rick Bonus just to take away the offense on the ice. So it'll be really interesting to see how that gets utilized under Gulutzan. And it's something we haven't seen in 3 years. I mean, since DeBoer's been the coach, he hasn't said this is a checking line. We hadn't had it, and it is 100% back, and it's got a lot of meat on it.
I am very interested to see how Faksa kind of comes into this. Random question, and we'll move on to defense. But do you think that if Faksa's cap hit was not as high, that he would have been traded in the first place?
No, he wouldn't have been traded at all. $2 million is the perfect spot for you to be. If you say my specialty is goals don't happen when I'm on the ice, $2 million is the right number.
Literally both ways.
3.5 is not.
Both ways, offensively and defensively.
Correct.
How about we do a hot take? Faksa scores 15 goals this year. How about that?
Under. I'm taking the under on that all day long.
DraftKings Sportsbook. Use the promo code TSPN.
Pick 6.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to defense. This has also been very intriguing for this team because with Lundqvist coming in, he looked really good in the preseason. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
To me,
first game, I thought he looked bad. He so much better as it went along, but continue.
Sorry, I got to bring James in. James, you made it.
I made it to the second half of the show.
You made it for defense, James. We're talking about Lundqvist. Ryan, keep going.
Okay. For this defensive group, we've got Heiskanen, Lindell, Lundqvist, Bischel, Harley, Petrovic, and Lyubushkin. That seems to be your top 7. Petrovic seems to be the number 7, but I think it is a very short leash for Ilya Lyubushkin, I think, because Petrovic has shown that he can play very well with Bischel. We saw that in the playoffs. So I would not be surprised to see Petrovic get into more games than we think. And this group has a lot of good mix between the quote-unquote older guys like Esa Lindell. That's crazy to think that Esa Lindell is old now, but he is with this group. And you've got guys in their core years right now in their prime with Heiskanen. And then you've even got young guys like Bischel, and then you've got guys in between like Thomas Harley. So this defensive group is going to be very interesting to see what transpires. And unlike the forward lines, which it seems like have just been in a blender the entire preseason, the defense has not been at all. It has clearly not even been close. And I wonder if that is a Glen Gulutzan decision or if that is an Alain Nasreddine decision. And we have seen Heiskanen on the right with Lindell. That is no surprise whatsoever. Lindell has shown he can play with top-level elite defensemen and be a security blanket for those top number 1 guys. We've seen Linus Lundqvist with Thomas Harley the entire preseason, basically, other than when one of them was scratched for whatever reason. And then we've seen that Bischel Lyubushkin or Bischel Petrovic pairing as well. So I think that's the most interesting thing to me is that has been so consistent for the preseason and practice, and the forward lines have not been. So let me get y'all's thoughts on all of that, specifically with the consistency of the D pairings.
Yeah, just with how much the forwards have changed and how little the D has, I think what you were hinting at is correct. I think Naz is the one keeping these the same. And when you look at it on paper, that's the best combo, in my opinion. I mean, you have the big pair at the bottom. You've got your 2 best defenders at the top. Arguably, Lindell and Harley might interchange now. And then you've got Harley and Lundqvist, who both have really good offensive skill. And the second pair is where you want Lundqvist to be at the end of the season. Like, if you were to say right now, is he a top 4? No, I think you'd put Bischel above him. But you want Lundqvist to develop into that first-round pick that Jim Nill just cannot give up, thinking that he is. So, on paper, that's exactly what you want the Stars D to be. I love it. It looks great. I just want it to work.
I mean, the other thing with Nils is that he's going to have to score, really, is the reason why he's being elevated to that second pairing. Scoring should be kind of a main focus for him this year. I feel like his defense is not absolutely atrocious anymore. It's still not like the best defense on the team, obviously. But if he can get his offensive side up, who cares, like, if it's average defense, that you can get away with that.
Exactly. And that's what he did last season. That's what he did. He went from bad defense to average defense. Good step. He was a solid defender by the time he got hurt. That was good. If he can keep solid defense and chip in on the other end of the ice where the Stars D struggled last year, I mean, we were one of the lowest teams with goals from our blue liners. That is a massive, massive help. And all of a sudden you become a top 4 guy and not just a bottom pair guy. So great call.
And honestly, the biggest thing that I'm looking at with this defense is Thomas Harley. Honestly, that's where a ton of goal scoring has come from. I mean, he is the goal scorer on the defensive side. And I mean, I really think that you could see him getting to 20 this year, especially under a different system with Gulutzan. You might not see a ton of assists because it seems like they still want Miro to be on that top power play unit. But I mean, he has a amazing shot and he's really good at getting it through and has a seeing eye shot too. So I really think that Thomas Harley is going to be up there in the goal scoring department.
Maybe Harley on the second power play lets him shoot more. I mean, Miro on the top power play, you want to get it to your best goal scorers. Harley's on the second.
Especially
be one of your better goal scorers on that unit.
Especially if you're with the forwards being a little bit more depleted than last year. Because last season, I mean, we basically had 2 top units for power play.
We still do.
Yeah. It's slightly less.
After a while, though, you remember how much we were complaining at the beginning of last season, like how terrible it was.
Yeah,
I mean, it was like historically bad at home.
But like on paper,
less than 10%.
On paper, they were still 2 top units in the NHL.
Yeah. Yes,
paper doesn't always translate, though.
I'm glad you brought that up, James, in terms of offense, because I think that the Stars are going to have to rely a little bit more on offense from their defense. And they've got guys to do it. I mean, Bischel was able to run a power play unit down in Texas. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to, get power play time or something like that, but he can put the puck in the net, and he could do it. And then you've got guys who can move the puck really well with Nils Lundqvist, with Miro Heiskanen, and with Thomas Harley. All 3 of those guys have got to be putting in some goals in there.
Yep.
So I'll throw a hot take out here as well, a fun prediction for that. I'm not sure it's actually going to come true, but I'll say this. Nils Lundqvist, Miro Heiskanen, and Thomas Harley all get above 10 goals this season.
For Heiskanen and Harley, that's not super hot. Well, actually, it kind of is for last year. If you look
Miro.
at those numbers, so yeah, that's pretty spicy. For Lundqvist, it's very spicy.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, especially with Miro's shooting percentage as of late. I mean, he can't find the back of the net to save his life.
Yeah.
That's a fun prediction and like a fun take to have, because it could happen, but it's not likely.
That's the one negative I might see with the way the defense is lined up right now. Heiskanen with Lindell. Lindell, obviously, great defensive defenseman, but you look at his advanced analytics, and he definitely takes away from the Stars' offense when he's on the ice. I mean, he is a net negative when the Stars try to put the puck in the net. Do you think that hampers Miro's offense even more, if that's even possible for a guy with that much skill?
It really depends on how he takes it. If he goes out there and he realizes he doesn't have to be the security blanket anymore for anybody, like he was for Matt Dumba at the beginning of the season, and like he was for Ryan Suter at certain points in the last 2 or 3, 4 years, and he just knows that Essa is going to be at the right place at the right time. If he goes and, takes a chance and tries to pinch at the blue line, or if he joins the rush and something happens and the shot goes wide out and it just rings around the boards and all of a sudden it's a 2-on-1 the other way and Lindell's back. I think that if he takes some chances, then yes, I think that his offense will definitely go up, because I think the Stars really need it to right now. Because the last couple of years, the Stars have had enough offense from their forwards to kind of make up for that. And I'll say it again, we lost 3 big guys who scored a bunch of goals for us who are no longer here. And I think he needs to take some of those chances again this year.
Yep. My big hot take here is that Liam Bischel is going to separate himself from the other bottom 3 on the defensive side. There's going to be a clear-cut top 4 by the end of the regular season, and Bischel's going to be your number 4 guy. Those top 4 are going to get played 20 minutes each. The bottom pair is going to get less than 10. That's what I think is going to happen by the end of the season.
That's crazy.
I mean, honestly, Chris, I think if that happens, someone's getting traded off the Stars. You have 4 left-handed defensemen that are all that good. Someone's got to go.
You think one of the 4 good defensemen get traded?
No.
If you can trade someone for a good, really good right-handed defense, it would have to be a established right-hand defenseman. But
like who? Gail McCarr?
Yeah.
I'm not that delusional.
I think you just play 4 lefties up top. I think that's what you do. You just do that.
I am starting to lean more towards that way, and that the whole righty versus lefty thing is starting to get a little bit overblown. And I think there are advantages to it, but I think some teams are hampering themselves on that, I don't know, philosophy, coaching decision, whatever you want to call it. And I think it's hurting them, because the only guy that could be traded for right now that's a right-handed defenseman that I think is even available now is Rasmus Andersson. And he's not going to come in and be a top 4 guy for you based off of the guys that we have. I think Bischel has better potential than Rasmus Andersson. And you're telling me we're going to trade away Lindell, Heiskanen, Harley, or Bischel for Rasmus Andersson?
Right. I'd rather have Bischel right now than Rasmus Andersson.
Right. And just because of the sheer size and the aspects
what he's
that
going
he brings
to do.
To the team.
He's going to get so much better this year too. And his cap hit is going to stay below $1 million for this season and next.
That's the other thing, is that Rasmus Andersson is also looking for a raise too, and that they just can't do that anyways. And it doesn't matter, even if it's not Rasmus Andersson, any right-handed defenseman they go out and get is going to probably be looking for a raise. That's why he's probably available on the trade market to begin with. Yeah. So,
and I see where y'all are coming from, but at the same time, goalie has kind of tried to force those lefties and righties together. I mean, Heiskanen's the only one, and Heiskanen's the only left-hander on our team who's proven that he just plays on the right side now. He's not a left-handed defenseman who plays on the right.
This is also a problem one step down, by the way. I think there's 9
it never stops.
Stars defensemen,
it never stops.
And 3 of them are right-handed. So, yeah.
Right.
They just don't exist. They're unicorns.
And I mean, it's just, at some point, this franchise is going to have to give up a really good left-handed defenseman for a not as good, but still good right-handed defenseman. And no one's going to want to do it, but it's going to happen eventually, because there's just so many left-handed.
6 lefties. Give me 6 lefties. I don't care.
Well, I think they had their opportunity with Noah Dobson, and then that never really came to fruition. I think that's kind of where it was, and they didn't get it done. And I'm not saying they should have, because we don't know what the negotiations were like, but we know that the Stars were interested in Noah Dobson, obviously, because he was a top 2 guy and is a right-handed defenseman. But we're getting off a little bit.
All left-handed defensemen and no left wingers. That's how you win a cup.
That's a little bit ironic. That's true. Okay, we need to talk about goaltending. I think, Chris, you said that this is the Vezina season for Jake Oettinger. That's when everyone keeps.
That's what I keep hearing. Everyone's saying, "Watch out, Jake Oettinger, Vezina." That's the fun thing to say.
I would argue the Stars have the best duo in the NHL in terms of goaltending tandem with Casey DeSmith, and considering how the value that they get from both of these guys. Because like Bobrovsky gets paid, $10-11 million. But and Otter's getting paid $8 million now, but Casey DeSmith getting paid $1 million for the next 2 years. That's fantastic. That's really amazing value. And I think the biggest question with this, in terms of the goaltending, is the workload. Like, what is I kind of hinted at this at the beginning of the episode. What is the workload going to look like for specifically Jake Oettinger? Because again, we've said this before, we're going into a year where the schedule is very much condensed in several parts of this schedule because of the Olympics. And on top of that, he has the chance of being the starter for Team USA. I don't know how likely it is at this point, but it's a lot higher now than it was a year ago, based off of what we've seen from both Hellebuck and Jake Oettinger in the playoffs the past couple of seasons. So it's going to be very interesting to see what that workload is going to look like for Jake Oettinger.
Yeah, that Casey DeSmith contract looks so good now. I mean, I know we were sad to lose Wedgie, but they stuck to it. They said, we're not spending more than $1 million for a backup, and they found maybe the best backup goalie for $1 million. No, I cut that. He is the best $1 million backup in the league. Especially you dig into his stats, it looks even better. You dig into the advanced analytics, even better than that. I mean, he was a top 15 goalie last year by the stats, which is insane. And yet Jake Oettinger, I mean, he's on a mission. He at least partially was responsible for the head coach getting fired. And at least from the outside looking in, like we mentioned at the top, Ryan, to the NHL, it felt like a decision between Oettinger and DeBoer, and Oettinger won. So it's time for Otter to kind of back that up and show why. And then the other thing we kind of mentioned is the defensive scheme seems like it will be better for Otter. Both goalies, both DeSmith and Oettinger, talked about how playing behind a man defense is a lot more hectic. You don't know exactly where your sight lines are going to be. You can't count on where your gap is in the traffic to find the puck. With the hybrid defensive system, it seems like it's going to be a lot easier for him to find those gaps in traffic, know where the puck's going to be a lot easier. And both of them generally said it's easier to play behind a more traditional zone or hybrid zone defense. So that might be another point in his favor towards potentially being a Vezina nominee, maybe winner.
What do you think, James? Are we just blowing smoke?
No, I mean, definitely not with Otter, at least. I mean, that he's going into what people call the prime of your career, right? I mean, he's getting to that age where really he should be at his best. And for what we've seen from him so far, I mean, we've already seen a spectacular goalie from
already tapped in.
Yeah. So what are we going to see once he gets to what people generally consider is like the prime of your career? How much more does Otter have in the tank? I think it's clear that he has more. I mean, we all look back to the Calgary series. That's when the Stars were playing zone last in the playoffs, pretty much, was in that Calgary series. And he was an absolute world beater. I mean, he almost single-handedly won the series for us. That's probably a once-in-a-lifetime performance there, so you're probably not seeing that ever again. But if you can even catch glimpses of that through the season, I mean, that can be a backbreaker for any team going against him.
Are you worried about his workload this year?
I think we're just going to play DeSmith more, honestly, especially if DeSmith continues his excellent goaltending. We seriously might see just a 50-50 split of games almost.
Yeah, ooh, I don't know about that.
No, I don't think it'll go that far. Especially with the Olympic break. I mean, really, if Otter wins the
40-40,
if Otter wins the job for the Olympics, I think it will be split much more evenly than we're expecting.
I hope it is closer to 50-50, honestly. If I was the coach, that's what I would do, because
have you seen the schedule?
Off the top, the schedule's insane. Duh. And then this team is a playoff team. Casey DeSmith is a good enough goalie to win you those regular season games. Jake Oettinger has said over and over that he feels great going to the playoffs, doesn't feel exhausted or tired at all, and yet consistently they get to the conference finals. Consistently, he's lost to Stuart Skinner. That's been consistent. So obviously, he cannot tell when his body is pulling back. I think that's what it proves. So if you can make him fresh for those moments, I think that would make a big difference. I think Otter's proved that he doesn't know when he actually is feeling the exhaustion from a whole ton of games in the regular season and then playing night in, night out in the playoffs.
Yeah. And this is a game where you could play 2 games a week for the whole season and still split the games half and half.
Yeah, that could be the case. That's 2 games that's a pretty standard workload.
I just don't see that, because I think
to be fair.
If
I'm exaggerating, but I mean, I really think it's going to be close.
See, I don't think it will be. I I think the DeSmith is going to get way more games than he did last year. I don't even have the stats here in front of me, but it's like I would not be surprised to see him get to like 30, give or take 2 or 3, something like that. But for him to get to 40,
no, yeah,
I think that is a bit of a.
He won't get to 40, but I do want him to get to 30. That's kind of my goal, is to see Casey DeSmith 30 times starting in net.
And I think I would be fine with that. But we're also assuming that he's going to play the same way that he did last year.
Honestly, even if he doesn't, like we said, you got to get in, make sure you're comfortably in. But Oettinger being ready for the playoffs is more important.
I do not want to be a wild card team going into the playoffs.
No, definitely not. Agreed.
That's my vulnerability with the goaltending tandem. It's just like if you rely too much on Casey DeSmith and he doesn't get you the wins like he did last year, and that hurts the Stars' chances of being in the top 3 in the Central, which I think that's where they should be and where they need to be.
Yes.
Then that is a huge problem.
Agreed.
So
that's just for last season. The games were split. Otter had 58 and DeSmith had 27.
Yeah.
So okay, more than 30.
Yeah.
More than 30. 32, 33 would be perfect for me. That's where I would want to see him. But that's a lot of extra games for Casey DeSmith too. Like a whole lot of extra games.
And he's gonna feel like he's playing a lot anyway.
Yeah, with the schedule, yeah, for sure.
All right. We're quickly running out of time, so I had a couple of other segments I wanted to get to, but we're not going to get to them. So I guess let's do this. I want to jump into some like predictions, and maybe even some bold takes. I've kind of said some of my pieces throughout the episode, but I think the Stars are going to finish second in the division. I think originally I had them first, and I think I'm going to drop them down to second because I don't want them to win the division. Because if they win the division, that means the Otters probably playing too much. And for the player that I'm expecting to break out the most, and I want y'all to answer that question too, is I think it is most likely going to be Wyatt Johnston. Like I know we talk about Bork. I know we talk about, Sam Steele probably needing to add in a couple more goals, but we don't think that's going to happen. I think Wyatt Johnston's going to break out this year. He has slowly, steadily, continually been getting better each and every single year. The hiccup was the playoffs this past year, especially on the defensive side. And he got beat a little bit. I think he's going to come back stronger, and I think he's going to come back pissed off, and I think that he's going to be at least a point per game player this year. That's my big prediction for the breakout player for this year.
I would love some pissed off Wyatt Joe.
11 more points from the season from last. So it's a jump,
really climbing.
But yeah.
And that's not an insignificant jump either. That's not like 2 or 3 points. That's double digit points that going up. So
yeah, especially when you're talking about someone who's hit 70 almost 3 times now. Like that's just kind of where he's been sitting. So
and he's not even 24 yet.
Yeah, that's great. I'm gonna keep him at first. I think more so that I think the Jets and the Avs are actually going to take a step back from what they did. I think a lot of people are expecting that from the Jets.
I don't know about the Avalanche, man.
From the Avs. A lot of people think the Avs are going to be good.
Did you watch the game last night?
The Avs game?
Yes,
they were playing the Kings.
They were playing the Kings.
I know, but
the Kings aren't going to make the playoffs this year.
I don't know. They're a decent team. They're a bubble playoff team, but they made them look like little babies on the ice.
It's the beginning of the season too, and you're talking about Nathan McKinnon, who is a health nut and is crazy during the off season. I don't think it's too insane to see them be good right off the bat. That's kind of what they tend to do.
Well, and I say that just because I don't believe in Natchez or Nelson. Like I think those guys aren't going to be as good as there. I mean but Natchez looked fantastic.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, that was besides the point, everybody. I think
We're
Dallas is
talking
still going
ourselves
to finish
out of it.
first. I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to say my player to look out for is I think Robertson's going to move to the top line. I think it's going to be pretty quick. And the Supernova line is going to be the best line in hockey. That's what I think is going to be happening. Robertson, Hintz, Rantanen. There's going to be at least 2 100-point scorers, probably Rantanen and Robertson, if we're being honest. And they're going to be dominant. They're going to be amazing.
What do you think, James? You got a predicted player? Is it the same as mine, or is it someone different?
I was going to pick yours, Ryan, but I'm going to go with Maverick Bork because he deserves it. I really, this is a player who every time he gets into a new league, the first year he has kind of underwhelming from what people were expecting. I mean, he's AHL player of the year. You're expecting big things. He had some Calder hype around him even. And then he kind of had like a season, you know, but he did the same thing the first year he was in the AHL too. And it just seems to be part of his process as a player. And I think he's going to have a really good breakout season. I think he's going to end up on the second line by the end of the year just because his offense is going to be so good. And I really think he could get up to 25 goals. Like truly, that's really where my hot take is: 25 goals for Maverick Bork.
I disagree with you because I think that he is going to. Who did he have when he was the AHL Player of the Year? He had a rookie named Logan Stankoven helping him feed the puck a little bit. I think that Wyatt Johnston could fill that same void that Logan Stankoven did for Bork in his really good AHL year. I think that could, and I know Wyatt Johnston is not like a true number 3, center or whatever. We've got 2 number 2 lines, I think, with our second and third line, but I think we could see him being with Wyatt Johnston the entire year, and that would back up my argument that Wyatt Johnston is going to be a point per game player.
And Bork had that was a perfect preseason for Maverick Bork. You couldn't have asked him to play those games any better.
Okay, we're running out of time. Literally, we have technically like maybe 2 minutes. I got a couple of questions for you guys, and either one of y'all can. Actually, one of them is for you, Chris. So I'll let you answer this one. Burned Oils, Chris. How much were people pestering us with? Oh my God, we got to finish first and overall. It's so important.
Yeah, we don't have to. Who cares? Bench Otter.
Who cares? Okay, and then either one of y'all. Natalie saying, was DeBoer a lot of the reason we couldn't get past the conference final, or has this team built a wall up? That is a very interesting question. And go ahead.
I can break it down really well. I think the first year you played Vegas, Vegas was better than the Stars that year. Just flat out. I think that team was just better. And I think the Stars put up a good fight considering what happened with Jamie and all that situation. They did well in that series, I thought. I was happy with that. And then the past 2 Oilers series, that Oilers team is built to expose the man-on-man defense. It is super high skill. Let the high skill players do high skill things. Let them be creative. And you're asking Wyatt Johnston to go man-on-man with Leon Draisaitl for 7-game series. It's going to end bad. And that's what happened. I mean, it made Wyatt Johnston have maybe the worst defensive month and a half we've seen from him. So I think the system that DeBoer had against the Oilers was just outmatched by those top players, and he refused to change. And we already mentioned he had every right to do that because he was very successful with the systems he had, but it didn't work against the Oilers, and it wasn't going to. And I think that's the main reason they switched, because the Oilers are going to be back in that spot most likely. They're going to be one of the best teams. You're probably going to see him again.
And I think DeBoer's probably really spoiled with Wyatt Johnston too, because he started it with Wyatt Johnston's rookie season, and Wyatt Johnston was just a rock for him the entire time that DeBoer was coaching. And he just played and played and played. And I mean, Wyatt Johnston's he's only 22 this season. So he's still really young, very, very young. And you were pitting him up against the best in the league, night in and night out, playing almost up to 20 minutes a night in those playoff games. And maybe that's just something that he wasn't ready for in the playoffs, you know? And I think that's fair to say. especially after watching last playoffs happen and how, I mean, he could not keep up. And I think part of it was just DeBoer was just stubborn with it. He knows how good Wyatt can be, but when Wyatt wasn't stepping up to those big time players, I think he kind of got blinded by it.
So to answer the question, yes.
That's kind of where I was going with. I think with the firing of Pete DeBoer, as much as everyone was making it more about Otter and Pete DeBoer, and Otter was the one that got him fired, I think Jim Nill saw the writing on the wall, and he saw that wall was being built. And I think whether it was a Pete DeBoer thing or whether it was a complete mental thing, but he saw that the mental capacity of this team, that wall was building up. And I think he wanted to tear it down, and he did it in the best way that he could without completely overhauling his roster. Because honestly, he's built a good roster. The players are here to win a cup. It's there. The talent is there. They just got to find the right guy to put all the tools in the bag properly. And right now, that hasn't quite happened. It's gotten very close 3 times in a row. It's just not quite there. Okay, I think that's a great stopping point too. So I think we're gonna stop it there to end the discussion here tonight. Well, thank all of y'all for following along with us live. If you have been, if you're listening afterwards, we appreciate you guys as well. As always, click like and subscribe and hit that notification bell on YouTube. If you would do so, please, that would help us out tremendously in continuing our quest for 1,000 subscribers. We're getting closer and closer and closer as we get to the start of the regular season, which is tomorrow for the Dallas Stars. Thank you to our sponsor, DraftKings Sportsbook. Promo code is THPN. If you're listening on the audio side, leave us a 5-star review. We'd appreciate that. We are going to be doing a hangout in the Discord channel for our Who Cares members tomorrow night. I think all of us are going to show up at some point tomorrow. So we're looking forward to that. I have no idea how tomorrow is going to go, guys, and I'm really looking forward to it. So thank y'all for being here tonight and joining in on the conversation. Alongside Chris, alongside James, my name's Ryan. We'll catch y'all on the flip side. We hope you guys have a fantastic morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you guys are listening. Oh, and yeah, one more thing. Go Stars.